Chapter 24, Dr. Priscilla Pizarro, a supportive partner, an ideal wife is any woman who has an ideal husband. Booth Tarkington, American novelist and dramatist, 1869 to 1946. There is an old adage that says, behind a successful man is a strong woman. This is true in the case of Tony and his wife Dr. Priscilla Pizarro. Tony himself will be the first to admit he would not have attained success in business without the help and support of his wife. Priscilla was born in Barangay Wawa, Orphan, Bataan in the Philippines. It was near where Tony himself was born in Barangay Dang Bailolo. Despite the proximity of their barrios, the two only met in their 20s in Boston, Massachusetts, where Tony was stationed at Naval Station, Navsta, Newport, Rhode Island as an enlisted man, while Priscilla worked as a doctor at the Jewish Memorial Hospital. Priscilla's father, Feliciano Santos, was an entrepreneur. He was a Basnig fishing boat owner, while her mother, Virginia Roque Santos from Orion, Bataan, was a housewife. The couple had 5 children, but only Priscilla, a doctor, became a professional. Tony is grateful to his mother-in-law in helping his children become a success. When Priscilla's mother became a widow, the couple invited her to stay with them. As a Navy serviceman, I was always away from my family, he noted. Most of the time I was deployed on a ship or visiting commands overseas. She was our babysitter, taking care of our children whenever we were at work. She did very well, shaped our children's character and instilled in them our cherished Filipino values and Christian virtues. Both of our kids ended up as successful and accomplished lawyers, graduating from the best schools in the world. Priscilla attended the University of Santo Tomas High School in Manila. She obtained an Associate of Arts degree at the same university as well as her medical degree at the UST School of Medicine and Surgery. She then pursued her postgraduate education by obtaining an internal medicine residency at the New York University Hospital in New York, and her general psychiatry residency at the Delaware State Hospital in Wilmington, Delaware. She was a chief resident at the Jewish Memorial Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts, and obtained a fellowship in child psychiatry at the University of California in Irvine. Priscilla is a typical Navy wife. She adjusted her career to suit the career of her husband. When he was assigned to the West Coast, she quit her job in Boston. And with her intelligence won a fellowship at UC Irvine. When her husband was transferred to San Diego, California, she did not have a problem getting a job as a child psychiatrist at the San Diego County Mental Health Services. She also worked as an assistant clinical professor at the UC San Diego and had her private practice in general medicine, child, adolescent and adult psychiatry. Her professional and civic memberships include the San Diego County Medical and Psychiatric Society, the San Diego California Medical Association, the San Diego Majestic/Cosmopolitan International Lions Club in San Diego, the UST Medical Association of America, and the UST Alumni Association in America. She is on the board of directors for the San Diego County Philippine Medical Association, and is a member of the Bataan Association of Southern California, the U.S. Navy Officers' Wives Club and the Orion Community Association of California. Priscilla Pizarro is also active in community service outreach. For 19 years, she and her husband participated in free medical and dental missions with the San Diego Majestic/Cosmopolitan International Lions Club. They provided free medical diagnosis, treatment and medicines to indigents in different countries like Vietnam and Mexico, as well as in different Philippine provinces like Bataan, Pampanga, Zambales, Cebu, Tarlac, Nueva Ecija, Bicol region, Mindoro and Cagayan. They also provided free treatment and medicines to indigenous people like the Aborigine Ida community in Bataan. Dr. Pizarro provided funds for the purchase of footwear, gently used clothing and food for the hungry. She also participated in the homeless outreach program Community Services of Father Joe Carroll Villages, where she provided over 1,000 volunteer hours of personal counseling and training of residents in need. Together with her husband Tony Pizarro, she supported the Gawad Kalinga, Giving Care, initiative led by its founder and chairman, Tony Maloto. Gawad Kalinga is an approved, nonprofit organization in the Philippines whose objective is to help the homeless poorest of the poor by providing shelters and vocational training. The Pizarro couple financed the building of 42 homes from the ground up to be given to the poor and homeless in their hometown. During her visit in 2012, Priscilla donated sports equipment for a children's playground in the area. The community they built was named the Santos Pizarro GK Village. It was completed in May 2008 and is located in Dangpere, Orion, Bataan. A deeply religious woman, Priscilla, together with her husband Tony, gave financial support to the improvement of a local Catholic chapel in Tony's barangay, Don Bailolo, Orion, Bataan. The chapel was given new flooring, its chandelier lightings were installed, its walls were painted and its old ceiling fans were replaced. In appreciation for the education and medical training she received at her alma mater, the University of Santo Tomas School of Medicine, she donated $100,000 to its School of Medicine. Dubbed as a passionate medical missionary by her UST school classmates, she was described as one with a genuine care for others and not for herself during one of the school's homecoming events. In January 15 to 19, 2015, Tony and his wife Priscilla attended the 400th year anniversary of her alma mater, the University of Santo Tomas. It is the oldest university in the Philippines, having been founded in 1611. No less that His Holiness, Pope Francis traveled from Vatican on a state visit and apostolic journey during its 400th jubilee, which the couple witnessed. Priscilla had been an active member of the board of directors of the UST Medical Association of America for many years, USTMAA.
A Tribute. Dr. Priscila Santos Pizarro, by Simeon G. Silverio, Jr. I first met Dr. Priscila Santos Pizarro a week after I migrated to San Diego from the Philippines in November of 1982. My brother-in-law, thinking that I was bored, took me to a Filipino-American forum organized by the Filipino-American Student Association in the University of California in San Diego. The speakers were Robert Ricasa, a second-generation Filipino-American high school educator, and Dr. Pizarro. I remember Robert, who eventually became my friend, telling the audience the first time he learned the meaning of the word discrimination. We were fresh off the boat in the 1960s, and no hotel in San Francisco would accommodate us, a Filipino couple with 10 children, he told the bemused students, many of them children of the first-generation U.S. Navy recruits from the Philippines. Priscilla, whom I got to call Presi, discussed the mental issues affecting the Filipino-American community, mental health being her area of expertise as a faculty member of the UCSD School of Medicine. The two gave a lasting impression on me. I realized that San Diego had a lot of highly educated professionals like Robert and Priscilla. I knew then that the Filipino-American immigrants were giving more talents and expertise to San Diego than the benefits they reap by living in the land of milk and honey. Filipino Americans are what they call positive immigrants, giving more to the community than what they receive. They contribute to the well-being, development, and growth of the country. Through the years, I got to meet Priscilla in many community gatherings, sometimes as fellow speakers ourselves in many events in my capacity as publisher of a leading Filipino-American newspaper, the Asian Journal, which I sold when I retired after 33 years in the business last year at the height of the pandemic. 2 years ago, I got to know her family much more intimately when I was able to persuade her husband, Tony Pizarro, for me to write a book about his life, since he and Priscilla were one of the most successful Filipino Americans in San Diego. Tony's biography, The Man Behind the Uniform, How a Poor and Orphan Boy from the Philippines Achieved Financial and Philanthropic Success in America, was published last year. I was amused when Tony told me that he got interested to meet Priscilla, sight unseen, when he found out there was a young lady in Boston, Massachusetts, where he was stationed as a young Navy man who hailed from his hometown in Orion, Bataan, Philippines. It showed the depth of his loneliness and homesickness, since the presence of a girl from his hometown would get him excited, never mind that he had not seen her face. Initially, he assumed that she was a nurse, since she was working at a hospital, just like the thousands of Filipina nurses recruited from the Philippines when America opened the migration for professionals during the 1960s. The fact that she turned out to be a doctor may not have mattered to a lovesick Tony, but he sure was happy he got more than what he bargained for. But Tony was not completely honest when he was courting Priscilla. When she asked him what his rank in the Navy was, he told her he was a TN, without giving further explanation. She thought it meant teniente, the Filipino word for lieutenant in English. It was only after they got married when she found the truth. By then, they had a good laugh. Priscilla was also impressed to see Tony wearing a different color of suits whenever they met. Unbeknownst to her, Tony had 4 other sailor friends with the same coat size as him, with whom he shared 5 suits whenever they visited their girlfriends. The suits were stored in a locker at the local YMCA. All 5 friends had a duplicate key to open the unit as they alternately wore the suits. Then there was the time when Tony was invited by Priscilla to attend a doctor's Christmas party. He accepted the invitation, provided he be introduced as a doctor. Whenever they asked me about the new medicine mentioned in the latest issue of the medical journal, I pretended not to hear the question and excused myself to use the bathroom. That way, he could stay away from the conversation and avoid being exposed. One Friday evening, Tony saw one boyfriend of a Filipino doctor at a YMCA dance. Tony and the guy tried to avoid each other, but later they could not help but acknowledge each other's presence. They had a good laugh when they realized they were both pretending to be a doctor. In the end, they agreed to keep their secret to themselves. But there were dark clouds looming in Tony and Priscilla's relationship. Back home in the Philippines, it was a common practice then for people to sweep their yards in the morning, not only as a form of exercise, but to gather dried leaves on the ground into heaps and burn them so that the smoke would kill the pests on the crown of the trees, so they would bear plenty of fruits. One windy morning, the embers from a fire lit a house, causing a conflagration that burned almost a whole barrio. Tony's father, who was a village official then, was tasked to investigate the catastrophe. He concluded that the fire started from the household of Priscilla's family. This drew a bad blood between the Pizarro and Santos families, and when Priscilla's father found out that his daughter was dating a son of the Pizarros, he put his foot down and objected to the relationship. Priscilla, being an obedient daughter fearing the wrath of her father, could not do anything but tell her boyfriend that she was moving to a different state and he should not see her anymore. Tony was devastated. Lucky for him, his ship was sent on a 6-month deployment in Europe, giving him an opportunity to lick his wounds. When he returned to Boston, he could not help but inquire about Priscilla. To his delight, he found out that she did not transfer to a different state after all, and he courted her again like a desperate Lothario. He won back her heart, and the two planned to get married. Priscilla's father was attending a Sunday Mass at the parish church of their hometown when he heard the priest announce the engagement of a local girl, Priscilla Santos, to a boy from the neighboring town, Tony Pizarro. He stormed out of the church, fuming mad since he was the last to know of the forthcoming marriage of his favorite, accomplished, and physician daughter to a poor scion of his arch-enemy. Again, he ordered Priscilla to break off the engagement, and again his daughter dutifully obeyed. But this did not prevent Tony from pursuing the object of his affection. He persisted in courting her until she again accepted his marriage proposals. They decided not to tell their parents, and the two agreed to meet at a street corner in Boston so they could both go to the city hall and get married. As fate would have it, the groom waited in one corner while the bride on a different corner, and the planned wedding did not materialize again. For the 3rd time, Tony once again asked Priscilla to marry him. To make sure that Priscilla would not be a runaway bride again, he brought with him some reinforcements: his brother Ernie and their 2 cousins who helped persuade Priscilla to reconsider her decision. Getting married to Priscilla on June 23, 1962 is one of the happiest days of Tony's life. By then, Priscilla's father had no choice but to accept the fate of his daughter, especially when he was shown Tony and Priscilla's fruit of their love, their firstborn baby Gerald. In pursuing Priscilla, Tony must have taken a page from the slogan of the prominent sweepstakes agent in the Philippines during the 1960s, Manuel Yui. The winner never quits, and the quitter never wins. Being a Navy wife is quite a bit of a challenge. One has to move with her husband when he is assigned to a different station in any parts of the world. Some wives would have to sacrifice their careers. They would always start from the bottom whenever they sought employment in a new town. Others would just give up and would be forced to stay home to take care of their children. For Priscilla, The stakes were higher since, as a medical doctor, her job has a bigger financial consideration to give up. To top it off, she had to take a state board exam when she transferred from one state to another to be able to continue to practice medicine. But no problem. She aced all the exams she took, earning her California license when Tony was assigned in Long Beach. Getting employment was no problem also. She was able to get employed from the Los Angeles area to San Diego, depending on where Tony's assignment would be. Despite these obstacles, she managed to become a successful doctor and professor of medicine until she retired. She devoted her retirement years helping the poor, building chapels, low-income housing for them, and conducting free medical clinics together with her husband. She donated $100,000 to her alma mater and thousands more to other religious, public, and private charities. She had a life well lived, blessed with successful children and a loving husband. She was bestowed with numerous awards and citations independent of what her equally successful husband also received. She was the guiding light of a very successful family, well respected in the whole of San Diego area, both in the Filipino and general communities. With all her success, it's no wonder that Tony Pizarro doggedly pursued the love of his wife, PRISCILA, despite suffering many setbacks. The latest was when PRISCILA passed away last November 3, 2021, after 59 years of being married to Tony. But their separation is only temporary. Judging from the kind of life they both lived on Earth, they will surely be reunited in heaven and resume their love story.